All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Week number 6 here in the NFL. We have the Sunday slate video, meaning each and every game on Sunday we're going to dive into. I'm going to give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, make sure to keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That's where you'll find all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, it's absolutely free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3, 4 more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. In terms of how we did last week, a really good week number 5 there. But more specifically, let's pump in some crowd noise on the soundboard. An 11-2 Sunday video last week, which is the video we're doing right now. Let's see if we can do that again. I mean, fingers crossed. I don't know if we'll be able to go 11-2 again, but maybe we can pull some of that momentum from last Sunday into this Sunday. We shall see. Guys, hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. As always, let me know your favorite plays for the Sunday slate down in the comments. I have been loving reading all these comments and seeing the angles and kind of the ideas that you guys come up with and come from. So let me know all of your favorite plays down in the comments. And like I tell you, you're helping out a bunch of other people as well. So it's not just for me, right? You're helping out a bunch of people that are looking for some additional winners. Let's go ahead and dive into game number 1 here. We got the Jets taking on the Broncos. Jets still winless on the season. Denver coming off of a nice comeback, fourth quarter comeback win against the Eagles there. Right now, though, Jets 7.5 points at home is intriguing. I think that the fact that the Jets run a ton of inside zone and the Broncos, honestly, kind of like bottom half in the league run defense against that specific scheme, could keep this game close. I'm going to say Jets plus 7.5 simply because it is kind of a key number and a big number. And I don't think the Broncos offense is all that great. But what I'm actually looking at more so in this game, and probably have a better chance of actually rolling with as a final play, would be that under 43.5. I know this Jets defense has not looked all that great this season, allowing 31.4 points per game. They're getting passed on a ton. They're getting run all over as well. But I still think there's some playmakers on that squad, and if you look at the Jets and who they've played, I mean, they played Pittsburgh, obviously had a really good offensive game, Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Miami, Dallas, like, they've played some heavy hitters from the offensive perspective. I don't think Denver is that type of an offense, and we know Denver is one of, if not the best defense in the league to some degree, right? 2nd in points per game allowed, 5th in rushing, 8th in passing, so I think the Jets can move the ball just enough to maybe keep this game close, but realistically, that under is what I'm looking at, and obviously that kind of correlates too. If this is a low-scoring game, that 7.5 points means a lot, so give me the Jets, but again, my main look in this one, what probably ends up being a final play, if we roll with anything, would be that under 43.5. All right, next one up here is interesting. I mean, we have Baltimore with Lamar Jackson questionable, Zay Flowers also questionable, taking on the Rams. I've been saying this Rams team is heavily underrated, all year long, right? And obviously coming off of a pretty bad look. Everyone seemed to be on them in that Thursday night football matchup, and they lose 26-23 against San Fran. I think the Rams offensively do bring it in this week, and we just saw Houston drop 44 points. Houston, a team that everyone had been talking about how much that offense stinks and struggles and all that. 44 points on this Baltimore defense. From just the numbers perspective, they're allowing the most points per game in the league. Now, obviously, that can be heavily skewed by some of these games they've had, but realistically, Buffalo drops 40 plus on them. Cleveland's the only team they seem to suppress, and that's not that great of an offense, right? Detroit, Kansas City, and Houston, like all these teams are scoring on them. I don't see any reason why this Rams team shouldn't be able to. Throw in the fact that they're not really applying much pressure. I like that, because that is how you get to Matt Stafford, make him uncomfortable in the pocket. So I think the Rams put up a decent number. Much like we just talked about with the Jets and Broncos, that 7.5 worries me. I am going to look at the favorite on the road in this spot, but how many times have I said it? I think the Jets are going to put up a decent number. So I'm probably geared more towards taking a peek at a Rams team total over. Right now, if you want to go and look at them, say over 23.5 points, which I do think could be a good spot, sitting right around that -160 number. After that, you'd probably have to look at 24.5, which another key number there, but it's kind of the way that I see this game going. Now, from a player prop perspective, I could see Kyren Williams having a decent game, right? We've seen this Baltimore team definitely get kind of torched by some running backs. They're allowing the 3rd most yards per game and the 7th most yards per carry. And from a perspective of how they run, man and duo is what this Rams team does. Ravens 31st in the league in terms of yards per carry against that. So could be a nice Kyren Williams spot. I know we ended up looking at him for that Thursday night game and he came up a couple yards shy, but could be a nice spot for Kyren in this matchup. Now, real quick, guys, I did want to shout out our Guy Boston Sports NFL dashboard. If you want access to this amazing research tool, we built it ourselves, right? Head over to GuyBostonSports.com, head to the members area and the NFL dashboard right there. Right now, it's $6.99 per month. The greatest thing about that is if we ever do increase the price, you're grandfathered in as long as you keep your subscription active at whatever price you got locked in at, right? But anyways, I just mentioned some of the schemes and metrics of this Rams team and their running game. This is exactly what I'm talking about. You can see here, we now have introduced the offensive rushing schemes for each and every team, and you can see they do lean heavily towards that man duo rush scheme, and this is what I said, Baltimore 31st in terms of yards per carry. That's just one of the many little boxes and tables that we have here on the dashboard. We even have some player prop help down here in terms of our matchup analyzer, so go ahead and check it out, guys. Again, that's GuyBostonSports.com. Head to the members area, click NFL dashboard, and sign up today, or just use the link down in the description as well as the pinned comment. I'll put it there for your ease as well. Let's get back to the games now. All right, Panthers taking on the Cowboys. This is a weird one, and I say weird because that line is worth noting. I mean, we saw 3.5 earlier. Now it's 3. I've also seen it bump to 2.5, back up to 3. So this thing is moving, and it's almost like people are coming in on the Panthers, which I don't know if I fully get. This Dallas offense appears to be really good, right? I mean, they've scored 40-plus points in two of their last 4 games. They've scored 37 at least in 3 of their last 4. They look decent enough offensively, and Dak's having a very, very good year. The problem is, it's like, well, then if that's the case, why is this only 2.5 points? Because the Carolina defense isn't all that great. Now they are getting a little bit more healthy, and, you know, the defensive line's getting more beefed up. I do get that and give it to them, but not enough for me to really be concerned with the team that has the lowest pressure rate in the entire league and the 3rd lowest blitz rate. So I'm still going to lean towards Dallas minus the points in this one, but doesn't it feel and seem a little bit trappy, right? Even throw in the fact that Carolina, they'll run the inside zone when they do run the ball. Right now, are they running the ball a ton? Not necessarily, but they're trailing in a lot of games. Dallas actually is the 2nd best team in terms of yards per carry against the inside zone. Really, really weird, I know. So this line seems trappy, but it also seems like a spot in which it's like, are we overthinking it? Is it just simple? Is it Dallas? I don't know. I would also consider Dallas team total over. I do think that this is another good spot for them. They're obviously scoring a ton, averaging 30.2 points per game. You know, Carolina hasn't necessarily played world-beating teams offensively. They've played Jacksonville, Arizona, Atlanta, New England, and Miami. Dallas is the best offense that they've seen so far, right? So I could see Dallas putting up a decent amount of points in this one as well. Also kind of considering Jake Ferguson or any tight end on Dallas for that matter. I think that we could see a nice little tight end spot here. This is a Carolina team that has struggled to defend that tight end position all year long. Colts taking on the Cardinals here. Colts laying over a touchdown. I have seen 7 flats in the market, but as of right now, at the time of recording, obviously these odds are subject to change, but 7.5, that total at 46.5. Now, this Cardinals team, if you just look like the raw numbers, right? Oh my God, 4th in points per game allowed, meaning 4th best, 19.2. You might be thinking, oh, that's really good, right? They have a good defense. I would say wrong. If you look at this team, they've played New Orleans, Carolina, beat up San Francisco, Seattle, and Tennessee, right? So I don't necessarily want to sit here and think that this Cardinals team is all that great defensively. And the Colts are proving that they're a very good offense. We talked about how, you know, Dallas has scored a bunch of points. The Colts so far this season, 33, 29, 41, 20, 40. They've been scoring. I do think that they'll run the ball a little bit more here in this spot, or choose to run the ball a little bit more. So I'm going to lean towards an under because, again, I know I just kind of ragged on Dallas for their defense, but this could be a game in which we see, you know, 27-13 or something like that, where this Colts team did put up a decent amount of work, but do we think the Cardinals are going to really contribute offensively? Kyler Murray's questionable as well. So I do think that overall this is somewhat of a Colts game. So maybe Colts minus 7.5, sure. But I think that this is a spot in which the Colts don't need to score their 40. Now, did they need to score 40 last week against the Raiders? I guess not. So, yeah, take it with a grain of salt. But to me, this could easily be like a 27-13 game. And it's like, wow, that's miles under that number, right? As long as the Colts don't go out there and score like 30 plus, 35 plus, I think we could be in business here. So again, I know I rag on the Cardinals. I ask you to caution when looking at that just points per game allowed number and think about the schedule, but it still isn't enough to talk me out of an under. And like I said, Colts minus 7.5 is probably what I'd look at. This might be a nice little money line piece in terms of a parlay. We've been doing that a lot as well, right? Taking these teams at 7.5 points, like last week, it was Colts and Lions that we parlayed. That ended up working out pretty well. So maybe something to consider there too. All right, we got an interesting one here with this next one. Jacksonville taking on Seattle. So this is obviously a Jacksonville team that's coming off of a pretty decent win, nationally televised, against the Chiefs outright, right? So I do want to give the flowers there. I think that was a really, really solid win by them. I don't know if this Chiefs defense that we saw them kind of torch up is as good as this Seattle defense. I do believe in this Seattle team and in this Seattle defense. And if we take a peek here, right, this is using the dashboard, another example of it. You could see Jacksonville is going to run a ton of zone, third highest frequency rank in the league. Pretty clear, Sam Darnold, better against zone, better against man. Yeah, he starts to struggle when you think about pressure or blitz, but Jacksonville's just middle of the pack when it comes to that, right? So I sit here and think, okay, well, if Sam Darnold's going to be okay, I don't know how he's like, I can't see a world in which the defense doesn't also kind of stop Trevor Lawrence. So both offensively and defensively, I like Seattle, but this is another spot in which I look at that line and it seems a little trappy because I would say Seattle, off of a heartbreaking loss to Baker Mayfield and the Bucs, has a little bit more fire under their ass. Hungry dog runs faster, all those cliches, right? Yet still only, laying 1.5 points as things move around to a pick 'em as well. It seems kind of fishy to me, but maybe I'm just crazy in thinking that Seattle's the much better team, right? Like I could get someone being like, oh, but Jacksonville's 4-1. They're 4-1. They beat Carolina, Houston, to beat up San Francisco. Their really quality win would be that game against Kansas City, which again, want to give credit where it's due, but I think they're facing a better defense this week. So call me crazy. I like Seattle in this spot. In terms of a total, I don't mind the idea of a Jacksonville team total under. I would say full game under, but I do have a concern there if we take an under that Sam Darnold might do really, really well again to flash up these numbers. Like this is a guy that's way better against zone in pretty much every category you look at here, right? Way better against zone than he is man. 79.3% completion percentage, 58.5 in comparison versus man. It seems like a Sam Darnold show to some degree here. All right, guys, if you've not checked out Novig yet, you are missing out on this peer-to-peer exchange. It's awesome because it is peer-to-peer, right? You got Joe Schmoes like me and you setting lines, setting the odds, and other people, real humans, are taking the other sides. By doing so, you can get way better odds, way better lines. For example, that Seahawks play. On most sportsbooks right now, they're minus 115. On these exchanges, like Novig, you can get them at plus 103. Those cents matter big time. So go check out Novig, guys. Link will be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. Go get the deposit offer that they're rolling with as of right now. Again, that link will be down below in the description as well as the pinned comment. You'll love it. Go check it out. Novig also just introduced parlays and the ability to do parlays on their app and site as well. So go check it out. Again, that's Novig, link down below. Dolphins taking on the Chargers. This one could go in either direction. I know that's not the answer you guys are looking for, but this line has been moving all over the place. Right now at the time of recording, it's at 4.5, but I've seen this all the way down to 2.5 to 3. Like, this thing's moved around. And there's a lot of injuries to obviously talk about here. Obviously, the run game is decimated with Najee and Marion Hampton now out for the Chargers. And then Miami, we all know, right? Tyreek Hill out of this one. I think the Chargers, and I just kind of referenced the hungry dog runs faster, and, after 2 straight losses, they probably have a bigger fire under their ass. The Chargers is probably the smarter side here, especially if you can get that at a very key number at 2.5. And like I said, those 2.5s have existed, so we'll see. That's probably, I guess, the side that I look at, but I told you guys, I'm trying to be transparent here, right? Like, this could go either way. Miami at home is definitely a lot better in terms of scoring. They are averaging 27 points per game at home this year. Now, one was against New England, one was against the Jets. Not exactly really, really good defenses there, and this is a good Chargers defense at the very least, so we'll see. I'm going to lean Chargers because I do still think that Herbert versus Tua, I'm taking Herbert. And I think that obviously with the weapons that, whether it's McConkey, Quentin Johnston, who I do believe is questionable, but practicing, and Keenan Allen, I think there's still more weapons on the Chargers side of things offensively. Now, do I think it's going to be a very high-scoring game? I don't. I'm expecting the Chargers to almost win this one defensively. The only thing that would scare me there is given the fact that we might see Justin Herbert throw the ball a ton because they're so decimated at the running back position. And when you throw, it's either big plays or plays in which, you're gaining some yards. And if you're missing it, the clock's stopping and you have more opportunity to score more points. Just rough referencing a lot of passes, right? So yeah, I do think this is going to be somewhat of a sluggish, low-scoring game, but the game script that will probably come from the Chargers worries me just a littlest bit here. I feel like there's a lot of potential traps on the board this week. In fact, if you made it this far in the video, guys, go ahead and comment trap. It lets me know that you made it this far in the video, but I also want to know, do you guys think that there's a lot of traps out there like this one, right? The Patriots, as a Patriots fan, didn't shock me, but seemed to shock the world in how good they looked against the Bills there in that Sunday night matchup. Now, New Orleans also coming off of a win, but this New Orleans team we know stinks, right? If that's the case, the Patriots are playing some of the best football that they've played in years, going up against a team that stinks. Why are we looking at this spread right around a field goal, right? That's a little weird. So, yeah, to me, I don't want to overthink it, and I'm not being biased. I think the Patriots are the far better team, right? And, they just showed in 2 straight weeks that their offense can be really good, and if you let Drake May go, he'll go. I also don't think the Saints will win 2 games in a row or even score like 26 points again. So it's all Patriots for me, but I can sniff a trap here as well, as crazy as that is to say as a Patriots fan, but there are a lot of things that you can make on the inverse, right? I already mentioned it. As much as you want to say it's a trap game, it's like you could also say like, oh, I don't think the Saints win 2 games in a row, right? They are at home, I get it, but to me, this Patriots team, hopefully there's a little bit of momentum there. Bills beat the Saints 31-19 2 weeks ago. Patriots beat the Bills 23-20 on the national stage. Give me the Patriots and the Saints team total under. Steelers taking on the Browns. Steelers laying 6 points at total at 37.5. And I get why it is so low, right? You have 2 good defenses here. I mean, if you look at it points per game wise, I don't know if you can necessarily make that argument, but we should know that there is tons of players on both these teams. The Browns have the best rushing defense in the entire league. So the first thing that I look at in Tassos, when we did H to H, actually kind of put me onto this. This is one of his picks. Jaylen Warren under 50.5 rushing yards. Guy coming back from injury as well, right? I don't think that he's going to have all that much success. And again, this is a really good Cleveland defense, even with the pressure and everything like that. So I don't mind that total being all the way down there. I don't mind looking at unders kind of across the board. I don't think Dylan Gabriel is going to be that comfortable. I'm not really seeing any spots in which we could see that passing game getting going because I'm not sure how much I like him. And then on the flip side, right, like you're going to see a ton of pressure from this Browns team. Aaron Rodgers really struggling against pressure this year when pressured. Now, obviously small sample size, but we're getting into the range of 4 weeks under our belt type of thing. You have him at a 29.2% completion percentage. Now, what's the big thing that we're kind of burying the lead here? Pittsburgh's at home off a bye, right? And the Browns are coming back from overseas. What a terrible spot for the Browns in a sense of travel and going up against a team like that. But still, I think that at least their defense should be able to come out here. And again, we don't mind that under. So if they're sluggish offensively, and even if the Steelers put up, 21 points and the Browns barely do anything, still looking at it under 37.5. So I do think this is enough there's enough there for us to trust the defenses overall. But Jaylen Warren is probably still my main look. I know that's not the biggest take on the side or the total, but I am looking at that. If I had to pick a spot here, I'd wait for this line or potentially buy a point and look at the Browns just because I don't think the Steelers offense is all that great. But again, all spots in terms of travel and everything like that, being home, away, things do really favor the Steelers in this spot. Kind of a confusing one, but it is what it is. Raiders taking on the Titans. Right now, Raiders 4.5 point favorites, total sitting at 41.5. Last week, we were really, really big on Cam Ward, right? That was one of our favorite spots. We took his alternate line of 200 plus passing yards, and that came through. Also took his normal line as well. I don't think this is going to be the exact same type of situation, but I do think Cam Ward may have some success. This is not a very good Raiders secondary or I guess total defense in general, right? So I could see him doing okay, and I also don't love the ground game situation for Tennessee. That being said, I do think this is a spot in which we see Ashton Genty kind of really show out in a sense. So I'm all over Genty in terms of scoring a touchdown. I like him to score the first touchdown of the game too. In fact, what can you get for odds? I know earlier in the week that was at, I believe it was plus 400. So let's see, first touchdown scorer. Yeah, still right around that at plus 400. So I do like that. I'm not usually a first touchdown better, but I do think he's by far and away the most talented player in this game. The Raiders are the better team, so I think that that'll be the position. And obviously, with the way Geno Smith has been thrown into the other team like it's his day job, I don't think they get in the red zone and really trust Geno to sling it. So I think all things look at Ashton Jeanty to have a decent game here against the Titans, who, I mean, their rushing defense, this is supposed to be a good defense heading into the season, right? Their rushing defense has really not been it. I mean, we've seen pretty much everyone and their grandmother's ex-boyfriend from high school be able to run on this squad. DeMarco had DeMarcado had the long run there. Obviously, we all know what happened at the end of that one, but he still rushed for 81 yards. Obviously, a large chunk there, but Michael Carter hit his over. Woody Marks hit his over. Nick Chubb came 1 yard shy of his over. Jonathan Taylor ran for 100 on them. Kyron Williams came a couple yards shy. J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey, week 1, both hit their overs by far. I think it was like they both doubled up their line. So I think Ashton Jeanty has a really good game here against Tennessee. By proxy, I guess I do like the Raiders as well. I think that, Cam Ward, like I said, could probably do okay, but I just don't like what's around him. So give me Geno Smith and the Raiders, minus the 4.5 points. I like their team total over, but realistically, if I'm being honest, you've heard me say his name a million times here. Ashton Jeanty, Ashton Jeanty, Ashton Jeanty. I think we might have multiple plays revolving around him this week in this matchup. All right, next one, we got the Packers laying 14 points here at home against a new look Bengals with Joe Flacco at the helm. Okay, you know what? We'll sound the psycho alert alarm. I know this is probably crazy, but I think that 14 points is a little bit too much. Now, Flacco, new team, maybe that hurts, maybe that helps. Who really knows? But I do think this Packers team wins this game by 9, 10, 11 points. I just think the 14 is a little bit too high. Now, you could say that and be like, well, look at last week, Ev, right? Everyone would have thought, the Lions, that they didn't deserve to lay 11 points. There's people saying that. Not me, but there's people, right? And they lose by 13. I'd say this Lions team may be better than the Packers, right? Like we all thought based on the week 1 matchup, it was the inverse, but this Lions team is still there. And the Bengals, looking as bad as they did with no Joe Flacco, who I will give credit to in a second, kept it to 13 points with the Lions. I know I sounded the psycho little alarm. I know it's crazy, but I think the Bengals can at least score a little bit better, keep this game somewhat closer. Joe Flacco, and like I said, I kind of want to talk about him. Let's jump into the dashboard here. Joe Flacco, pretty good against zone compared to man. Well, you're going to get a lot of zone coverage from this Packers team. We know that. They'll apply some pressure. That's the negative for Flacco. But still, even looking at this, they run a ton of man duo run schemes. Green Bay, not exactly all that great at stopping that. And then on the other side of things, Green Bay loves to run the inside zone. Cincinnati, as bad as they are defensively, have actually been pretty damn good at yards per carry against in terms of the inside zone rushing scheme. Now, if we look at these offensive and defenses here, obviously they're going to tell two different tales, right? You have absolutely a good offense on Green Bay and a good defense, and everything's kind of red, and that's the beauty of the color coding. We don't even need to look at these numbers. All red here, a lot of green/yellow-orange on the right, and even from the player prop analyzer. Bunch of easy, fairly easy, and very easy matchups for Green Bay. A lot of fairly toughs here for Cincinnati. Even from a DVOA perspective, a lot of green, a lot of red. So I understand if someone's like, how could you ever look at the Bengals in this spot? The point isn't me trying to say that the Bengals will win this game or even keep it close. My only thought is that 2 touchdowns is a hell of a lot, especially if Joe Flacco can be a better option than what we've seen. And let's not forget, he has some weapons, right? This is a seasoned quarterback with Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown, who I think is good. Like, this could be an offense that looks a hell of a lot better than it's looked. I feel like we've spent too much time on it. I'm talking crazy here. I get it. But yeah, Bengals plus 14 is what I'm looking at. The total at 44.5. I sneaky want to look at the over because as much as I said, hey, yeah, the Bengals can probably stop some of the run game and all that, I don't know how much I believe it. That's just what the numbers are telling me, right? So maybe over 44.5 is the way to do this. And honestly, that might be smarter than taking the Bengals because then at least you do have that upside of the Packers blowing them out by 30, right? But if I'm right at all and this Bengals team can move the ball to some degree, then we're looking at, at least points on the board. So maybe that's a better, less psycho, put me in a home type play there than taking the Bengals. Maybe looking at the over smart. We'll see. This next one might as well be the injury bowl here. We got Tampa Bay taking on San Fran. Bucky Irving questionable. Chris Godwin now listed as doubtful. Brock Purdy, Juwan Jennings, Ricky Pearsall all listed as questionable as well. So ton of injuries to note here in this spot. Tampa Bay just seems to get things done, right? Even last week when he went up against, when Baker Mayfield went up against the Seahawks and just came back and won that one 38-35. It's pure electricity, and they figure out ways to get things done. In fact, we talked a little bit about H to H. If you guys saw the clip of Baker talking to the fan at like halftime, and he's like, it's only halftime, and then they win because the fan was talking some smack, and then Baker seeks that fan out by the tunnel and says, I told you. It's like, Tampa Bay, man, I'm not mad about having Drake May as a quarterback here, but I am jealous as all hell that Tampa Bay gets to root for Baker Mayfield because he's awesome. And that's kind of where my breakdown of this game comes down to. I think Baker Mayfield makes things happen even when dealt a bad hand. No Chris Godwin, potentially no Bucky Irving. I think that White and Emeka Egbuka are going to be good enough here to beat a really beat up San Fran team that is coming off of a game in which, they're probably riding high thinking that they're all that. And no, now they travel to Tampa Bay playing a really, really good offense. I almost want to say that this is an under type game though, even though I mentioned really good offense, because all the playmakers are out. It's like at some point, yeah, I think Baker will make some plays, but like we don't have everyone good to go, right? Like if Christian McCaffrey misses this one, if Brock Purdy misses this one, Ricky Pearsall, Juwan Jennings, these are big pieces. Now C-Mac is playing, I expect to play, but again, on the other side, Bucky Irving, no Mike Evans, Chris Godwin's now doubtful. It just seems like there's too many playmakers to like that over 47.5, right? I don't know, maybe I'm underthinking this one, but give me Tampa Bay as well as the under. Tricky one just because of all those injuries. Now, guys, we got Sunday Night Football here. Chiefs taking on the Lions. If you want a detailed, in-depth breakdown of this game, Tassos runs that as its own standalone video here on the channel. So make sure to keep an eye out for that. We'll talk about it briefly here. We got Kansas City taking on Detroit. Right now, Kansas City 2.5-point favorites in Arrowhead. Total at 52.5. My initial reaction is that I think these defenses are pretty good, and 52.5 in a primetime spot like this seems pretty damn high. But, I can give credit where it's due that this Lions team can damn near hit that number by themselves. They almost did early in the year against Chicago. They dropped 52 on them. And Kansas City's offense, last couple weeks, even though they did lose to the Jags, the last couple weeks their offense has looked very good, right? 37 against Baltimore, 28 against Jacksonville. Now, I think that the Lions defense is a little bit better, and Kansas City's defense I still do believe in. That's why I like that under 52.5. But I understand if there's a little hesitation there because of all the names and all the players in this spot. I think it's pretty square, but I think this Lions team's far better right now than the Chiefs, who are sitting at 2-3. So I lean Lions plus the points, or maybe just on the plus money on the money line here. But these odds makers know what they're doing, and Chiefs in what seems like a must-win type situation in Arrowhead against a big opponent. Seems like the cream might rise to the top, and the cream would be Patrick Mahomes here in this spot, right? The problem for that is this Lions team runs a lot of man and they do pressure. Both things are pretty tough for Patrick Mahomes right now. 58.8% completion percentage against the man-to-man coverage, 44.7 versus pressure, and then 56.3 against the blitz. So if this Lions team gets after him and plays man-to-man coverage and blitzes, we could see some ugly Patrick Mahomes. Now, I like the under, right? And this is a Kansas City team that we know will pressure and blitz as well, and that's how you kind of get to Jared Goff. Not a mobile quarterback. This line needs to hold up and all that. So I do think that, the Chiefs, everything I say about the pressure and stuff, the Chiefs and the Lions will both get after the quarterbacks here. Again, leading us to an under. But who will do it more? I think the Lions will do it more, and they also have more playmakers offensively to beat it and game plan against it when the Chiefs do it to them. So give me the Lions here on the money line, honestly, for plus money here. I think that this could be a good running game as well. I don't think you beat the Chiefs through the air. This could be a spot in which we see a lot of Jahmyr Gibbs or even Monty kind of punch one in and stuff like that. But guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hopefully you guys did enjoy. If you did, go ahead and leave a like on the video. Hit that subscribe button as well. Make sure you're turning on the notifications because we have a lot more live content. Yes, live streams, watch-alongs, and all that kind of planned, and we're working on it. Tassos has been doing an awesome job going live every Sunday morning, so make sure to tune into that right around 9:30 a.m. If you want to get your plays in, put together a community parlay, I'm going to hop into those streams as much as I can as well. But guys, go ahead and do that. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.